So that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It turns out I'm not a genius because I got caught out by Elon Musk's stupid little interview question. He asks people at like SpaceX interviews and so on. Because the interview question goes like this: you walk 1 mile south, 1 mile west, and 1 mile north, and you end up back where you started. Where did you start from? The answer is obviously the North Pole. Except that's not really the answer. You wouldn't actually end up back at the North Pole. For one thing, because the North Pole is constantly moving. You wouldn't end up back at the geographic North Pole either, for the same reason, because you're only walking a mile in either direction. Like you walk like 1 mile south, like you could accomplish that because it's not too much distance, I think, really. Your south would be pretty accurate at that point, wouldn't it? Then you walk 1 mile west. Likewise, I think that'd still be pretty accurate with a compass. Then like walking 1 mile north again. It's like I hesitate. I don't think you'd end up back where you started. I don't think you would. Um, I don't think. Well, it's not a problem with compasses per se, or a problem with like the North Pole moving, but doesn't the North Pole move kind of on a radius of about a mile anyway? So it's a deeply problematic and vexing and troubling problem rather than it being a simple problem. So you end up back where you started. Well, you don't end up back where you started. Well, you don't. You wouldn't. I bet you can test this. I bet you can plant a flag at the North Pole. You wouldn't end up back at the flag. Because again, the North Pole, the real North Pole, the magnetic North Pole, would be at such a close range to the North Pole, would be throwing off your ability to walk accurately in like a mile south, a mile west, and a mile north again. Mostly the mile north again. So you'd be like, walking a triangle like towards the North Pole, and this would be like as true with GPS as it would be for a compass, wouldn't it? You wouldn't end up back at the North Pole. I hate questions like that. I know, like, what my first guess was that Elon Musk wouldn't say something like that. It would be some kind of test of the interviewee's ability to stand up to him and to say, like, when he has a wrong-headed idea or something, you'd end up 1 mile west of where you started. That's what I would try to say, and I thought I'd go for thinking of it as a trick question, but it wouldn't be. It'd be him thinking that you'd end up back at the North Pole. You wouldn't end up exactly back at the North Pole. You might end up close to it. So I guess it's sort of right, isn't it? But I mean, did I think North Pole? I probably did think that you'd go for something like that, and then I discarded the notion of thinking about that. I was like, that's too easy. But it's not too easy, but it's like, it's a childish question. It's like a childish little riddle, isn't it, really? It's not a childish little problem. It's not a very complex question. How do you figure out who's a genius on the basis of that? It's like only geniuses get the right answer to it. It's like one of those stars a problem. It's a trick, well, not a trick question, but there's a subtlety to it. Still, like, from what I know about like the physics of the planet, you wouldn't end up back at the North Pole anyway. Like, if you could start from there to begin with, end up back at the geographic North Pole. I'm just trying to do it in my mind again, and still, I don't think you would. Not exactly. You'd deviate by some, or like, you deviate from the exact position of the North Pole by some amount of meters, dependent on the circumference, is it, of the range of motion of the real North Pole of the Earth. That would offset where you end up, because it is rotating, it spins, right? So during your journey, you get very lost. If you planted a flag at the North Pole, walked a mile south, a mile west, and a mile north again, I bet £1 million you wouldn't end up back at the flag. You might see the flag in the distance or something. It might be like a mile away, or not a mile away, even like a few hundred meters away. It might be, but yeah, you wouldn't end up back at the flag or the North Pole. I don't think. Or like, can anyone contribute to this discussion on this problem in the comments? If you have an opinion at all, like, please leave it in the comments. There we go. Thank you for watching. Bye.